So Ronald Reagan had one golden rule: thou shalt not attack a fellow Republican. And I think because you have these very traditional Republicans, still very much in that Ronald Reagan model, versus the MAGA Republicans that have been very, very much coming along for quite some time, really since the Tea Party days. That's where the Republican craziness really started, and the Republicans thinking that they could control this. But well, it eventually sort of gave birth to Trump, and now, even more worryingly, Trump has just had two very key allies elected to the Republican National Committee, thus pretty much at this point almost cementing his grip on the Republican Party. And one thing I always remember from 2016 in the aftermath of the Trump victory was a podcast. I can't remember what the name of the podcast I was listening to now, but the guy and what he said has always very much stuck with me. And he always went, Trump winning is going to be, its own thing. But he said the danger comes what happens after. What happens in the aftermath of Trump? Who follows Trump? And I think that's the key question now, because you are seeing more and more MAGA Republicans come in, take key positions, as we have seen here, get seats in Congress, get seats in the Senate, take over, local, state, governorships, etc. They are really pushing for this takeover, And of course, after you've got to ask that question, Trump will probably become the kingmaker, because I don't think he can run again after this if he loses this next election. Again, I'm sure someone will correct me, but I'm not that familiar with the American political system, but I'm pretty sure he cannot run again after this particular election. But then again, he may not want to run. Bear in mind, he is quite old at this point. So you may see Trump maybe in the future start to, shall we say, elect his, or at least play the game of kingmaker, saying this guy is going to be my successor. This is sort of who I want. It might end up being his daughter. We'll see if she ends up being the pick. I know a lot of MAGA Republicans have said that's who they would like to see, but we'll see what happens. It may be someone else completely different. But the fact now that Trump has now tightened his grip on these reins, and once again, the Republicans missed their golden opportunity to get rid of Trump. They should have impeached him. And trust me, there's going to be I guarantee you there are a lot of Republicans kicking themselves that they did not impeach Trump when they had the opportunity to. But we're going to go into this because I think this does go to show you now the control Trump has. And not only just for this election, but potentially, who knows how many elections Trump is going to have such an influential control. And maybe even after Trump is gone, that these MAGA Republicans are going to have control. So we'll see what happens in the future. But it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on what this goes, because I can see the Republicans maybe going into like their own civil war, like we're seeing our Tories sort of gear up for their own civil war. I don't know whether that will happen, because, like I say, these old style, Republicans very much in that, we don't attack, fellow Republicans. We just don't. And you've seen that play out, whether they've been attacked by these MAGA Republicans, and they've just said almost nothing in response to being attacked, because you don't engage in that type of politics. That was Ronald Reagan's whole, like I say, the golden rule. And many Republicans still adhere and stick to that rule. But if you're going to get rid of those MAGA Republicans and even Trump himself, well, got to start attacking them. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I want to get more into this because I think this goes to show you just how much control Trump now has. But before we do go into that, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the One of Nation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. So let's take a look at this. So this comes from Reuters, the title of Trump Tightens Republican Grip. Daughter-in-law takes key party post. So, Donald Trump has now cemented his grip in the Republican National Committee. On Friday, after his daughter in law and another ally assumed top leadership posts amid a debate amongst members of whether the organization should help him pay his legal bills. And I think this could be a make or break moment for Trump, because previously, those coffers had been open to Trump, but they closed them off to him. So we don't know whether those coffers will be open again, and then it's how do those rest of the Republicans react to that amount of money flowing out from the coffers when they want to see the RNC purely be about getting Republicans elected to sort of political positions. That's what they're about. That's what they want to see their money to go to. And this is where we could see those sparks of a potential maybe civil war. Maybe someone finally stands up and says, right, enough is enough of Trump. Maybe that's what could be the Kickstarter of all this. But anyway, back to it. So the RNC members meeting in Houston voted to appoint the North Carolina Republican Party head Michael Weltney and Laura Trump as their chair and co-chair of the organization, and they will play a key role in marshalling voters and funds for the November 5th general election. This move comes after Trump swept the Super Tuesday primaries, prompting Nikki Haley to drop out of the Republican race, and all but assuring that the former U.S. president will be a nominee and face off against President Joe Biden, a Democrat. I think very early on it became very obvious Trump was the nominee. I mean, the fact that he didn't show up to these debates, basically saying, I'm the nominee, deal with it. I'm not even going to turn up. And yet, what a power move. And then you have to answer the question now, will Trump even turn up to debate Joe Biden? I think he will. I think we will see those debates. But he might not even turn up for those. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, the goal on November 5th is to win, as my father-in-law says bigly, Laura Trump said, promising that every single penny and every single dollar raised would go towards winning the White House, the Republican representatives, and state and Senate representatives for Republicans. This reshuffle sees Ronna McDowell replaced atop the organization with McDaniel was obviously a staunch Trump ally, but faced pressure to step aside following a very sluggish fundraising and very weaker than expected performance for the Republicans in the 2022 congressional midterm elections. And what's shocking about this is, once again, another reason why you could get rid of Trump, because this 2022 was expected to be this big red wave that they were going to go and they were going to retake Congress and they were going to make Biden a lame duck president. He was going to be able to do nothing. And that this would sort of set the stage for this upcoming presidential election. That didn't happen. And all those candidates, a good number of those candidates for the congressional midterms, were handpicked by Trump. And a lot of them didn't win. In fact, all of them practically didn't win. And it was very, very few non-almost Republicans that weren't picked by Trump that did seem to get those wins. So, it's, once again, you see this place where the Republicans could go after like Trump and take him out legitimately and have legitimate ways to sort of get rid of him through either this impeachment or just say, well, look, no, Trump's absolutely useless at politics. We're just going to excise him completely. We don't have to worry about him. They've missed that chance once again. But anyway, a number of RNC members have also called on the committee to help pay for Trump's legal expenses, which among the penalties have now ballooned to hundreds of thousands of dollars. In speeches on Friday, neither Whitney nor Laura Trump directly addressed this issue, which has made some donors very wary of checks. This is where, once again, things get, should we say, a bit civil war-y. Because could this be, if they do open the coffers to Trump to start paying his legal fees, then what? Do the less people give money to the RNC? Is this the spark of something more that'll eventually lead to sort of Trump being kicked out, which, to be honest, is going to be very difficult, very, very difficult, because Trump has a lot of supporters and a lot of that MAGA backing movement. And we've actually seen a lot of these people say, as much as we want Trump, this is the movement. And they are sort of saying, even though Trump is the current figurehead, anyone could potentially be the next MAGA leader. They are preparing, I think, as well, for life after Trump to sort of take that movement forward. This is why I've said whoever comes after Trump could be even worse than Trump. So, anyway, so in response to this, someone said donors do not want to pay some other rich guy's legal bills. They want to help win elections, but that's because that's the RNC's job, said Henry Bolder, an RNC member from Mississippi, who also drafted a resolution trying to bar the use of funds for that purpose. The resolution failed to gain enough support to be put to a vote on Friday. So there is already a concern about that in the RNC, but of course it failed to gain any traction. But this could be a spark that maybe could start something else. Maybe it could actually start the movement to maybe get rid of Trump. Who knows? But we'll see. Anyway, Trump's push to have the wife of his youngest adult son, Eric, as second in command symbolizes his takeover of the political institution, whose mission is to get Republicans elected up and down the ballot. Not since President Ronald Reagan's daughter, Maureen Reagan, was RNC co-chair in the 1980s, has a family member of a president or a nominee served in such a position of power. Bear in mind, look at all the stuff the Republicans put out about Hunter Biden. You don't see a peep about Trump's family or about the positions they held in the White House, or even this going on right now. They've been very, very quiet about this. So one of the new leadership's most pressing tasks will be money. After recording its lowest fundraising year in the 2023 in a decade, the RNC had less than $9 million in the bank at the end of January, a little more than a third of the Democratic National Committee's $24 million federal filings show. We have a lot of money to raise, Laura Trump said, showing a check for $100,000 that she had been donated to on Friday. And of course, especially in America, money helps you win elections. Money is a massive influential factor in American elections. And this, of course, puts the Democrats in a very, very good position that they can outspend Republicans in some very key important races. That is going to be very, very helpful to winning those key races. But again, sort of still worries me. We'll see what happens. But again, my hope is, of course, Biden wins. Like I say, I do not want Trump to win. But as I've said before, November, long time to hold your breath. A very long time to hold your breath. So Laura Trump obviously created a stir last month by saying that she believed the Republicans have, the quote, a big interest in paying the former Trump's legal bills, but not ruling out using the RNC funds. Trump's legal costs are expected to mount this year as he grapples with over 91 criminal courts across 4 cases and faces more than $500 million in damages tied to a civil case judgments in New York. On Friday, Trump posted a $91.6 million bond to cover the defamation verdict in favor of writer E. Jean Carroll. With Friday's vote, Trump's campaign and the RNC will start to try and work more closely together, including on fundraising. This will now be overseen by Chris LaFacica, the co-manager on the campaign, to try and set up as a double to the RNC's chief operating officer. LaCava is repeated to be said that RNC funds would not be used for legal costs, and a stance that he's reiterated to reporters on Friday. Oscar Brock, the RNC member from Tennessee, said that there wasn't enough money in the budget for Trump's legal bills, and that he was personally against it. However, Brock said that some of his constituents wanted the RNC to help Trump and could see it coming up for debate if the fundraising exceeded expectations. Someone new, the RNC committee for Oregon, said that he had spoken to some over 20 members who agree with him that the organization should not pick up the bill for Trump's legal troubles. Oh, sorry, the organization should pick up the bill for Trump's legal troubles. But two RNC donors who spoke to Reuters on the condition of anonymity said that they plan to wait and see of the impact of the leadership changes before contributing funds. Both expressed concerns about their money going to pay legal bills. So we'll see what happens there, but this is just now Trump, as we said, cementing his control over the party. And of course, the big fight, should the RNC help pay for Trump's legal affairs? You've got a lot of mixed decisions there with Republicans. Some saying that they should, others saying they shouldn't. You know, even as I said, those two donors, well, we don't want to give any money until we get a guarantee that our money is not going to be spent to pay, you know, some other rich guy's legal bills. It was said in there. So this could be a big deciding factor in what potentially happens to sort of Trump in the future. Ultimately, I think he is going to be very much become a kingmaker. I think you're going to see more and more MAGA type Republicans get elected. That is the bizarre election direction that they're going in. You look at CPAC, which has become an absolute MAGA circus. There was an interview with a guy going around, if you've seen it, interviewing people, and one of the people interviewed was Lady MAGA. Yeah, honestly, the more and more they go in this direction, the bizarre and more crazier this becomes, and you've got to wonder how on earth this all eventually comes to an end. Because even with Trump gone, I don't see this movement ending. I don't think Trump, like, if he suddenly has a heart attack or he loses the next election, it doesn't go away. I think someone else takes over, or at least takes that sort of figurehead position. And as we said, it could be infinitely worse than Donald Trump. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, you know, Trump may go one day sooner or later, but the MAGA movement, I can't see that going anywhere anytime soon. So as always, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I've been very interested to hear from anti-Trump Republicans. What is your thought on some of these messes going on? Do you agree or disagree about the whole Trump legal issues? I'd be very interested to hear from people like that, but we'll see. But anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, do remember to click the like and share button on your way out. And of course, as always, there are links down below in the doobly-doo. You can help support the channel that way as well. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.